Hi, my name is Jeremiah Dooley, and I'm a principal architect at SolidFire. And I've got two of the best SEs in the company up here with me today, and we're going to talk a little bit about Flash and why, in our opinion, Flash is much more than just the performance that it gives. Before we get started, go ahead and start with yourself. Start introducing yourself, Daud.
Daud Qaze, SE, covers New York metro area for SolidFire NetApp.
I'm Shayne Williams. I'm assistant engineer out of the Pacific Northwest for SolidFire.
Excellent. So, SolidFire is an all-flash array and has always been an all-flash array, but it's always interesting to talk to customers around why SolidFire was that way. So, Daud, kick us off with just a little bit of background on why it was that SolidFire was originally 7 years ago when it first came out an all-flash array, and what was the problem that we were really looking to solve with Flash?
Sure. When SolidFire was first introduced, it was introduced because we were looking at the next generation data center. And the next generation data center, when you're designing that out, you really don't design a product that's based on 30, 40-year-old technology. And we saw Flash as an opportunity to be able to provide consistent performance to each and every one of those applications. So that was predominantly the reason why we chose Flash. We didn't choose Flash to just build a new company and build it on a RAID technology that's 40 years old. We decided to do something completely different, and Flash happens to be an enabler of that.
Awesome. Shayne, talk a little bit about QoS is one of those core features of SolidFire that enables everything that we're trying to do with that next generation data center. Talk a little bit about the link between QoS and why it works and the media that we use underneath that.
Absolutely. QoS, I like to call guaranteed performance because really, we're guaranteeing performance to specific workloads and applications that kind of enable like a multi-tenant environment. And before, we couldn't really do that until we had the capability to reserve performance metrics for all of your applications and set aside that. So essentially what that does is no matter what happens on the system, any application that you reserve and guarantee this performance for will be able to deliver that. And regardless of what's going on, who does what, because in a world where you have a lot of different applications, you don't know what your customer, your internal customer, your tenant is going to do. So being able to guarantee that performance on specific applications helps enable a lot of different capabilities that weren't available before.
Gotcha. So how much is too much Flash? I mean, we know that there's a tremendous amount of I/O that's enabled out of each of the flash drives that are in there. And when you look at tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of I/Os, we get sometimes we get comments from prospects or people who are living in a traditional storage environment saying, I don't have enough applications that need all of that flash, right? So they're looking at it more as a price to entry barrier than they are as something that can enable the software side of things. So Shayne, talk a little bit about how QoS allows us to be more efficient with that flash, not just from a performance standpoint, but in how it is that we can provision that performance separately from the capacity in a way that maybe they didn't have the ability to do before.
Right. So in a flash drive, there's a lot of performance available, but we do more with the flash drive than just offer up performance. We're doing data protection. We're enabling services that allow for really flexible and agile removal of capacity and capacity on demand and self-healing architecture. So we're taking that performance capability of all of those flash drives together and offering up services that you didn't have before. Things that really apply to cloud-based technology where I need to have capacity now. I need to self-heal. I don't need to worry about replacing hot spares. I don't need to worry about RAID. I can suffer a shelf failure and evacuate all of that capacity really, really quickly and self-heal. We pull all of the performance capacity out of those flash drives to provide that to the customer. Besides just raw I/O, all of these services are available that we basically garner from those flash drives, from the available performance, and provide our customers for that.
So I guess maybe my last question for you, Daud, before we break here is, when we look at all of the different workloads that are being distributed across, is it possible, using Flash, for me to be able to have a really small amount of capacity with a lot of performance, or is it possible for me to have a lot of capacity with a little bit of performance? How flexible is it within a SolidFire array for me to be able to use that performance and capacity incrementally across the different workloads that are running?
So performance and capacity are completely independent in a SolidFire array. So you can essentially create a 1 terabyte volume with 100 IOPS, and you could also create another 1 terabyte volume with 10,000 IOPS. We give you the levers to change it at any given time. So it's not set in stone. If you decide that that 1 terabyte volume with 100 IOPS that you set, that you want to change that to 1,000 IOPS or 2,000 IOPS, you simply just go ahead and you just crank up the volume and away you go. So we give you the flexibility to be able to change performance as well as capacity at any given time. And to add a little bit to Shayne's comments before, what we're really doing is we're bringing, I guess, sanity back to SAN. Essentially, we're asking our customers and we're telling our customers to put multiple applications onto the same storage subsystem and be able to control performance and capacity at any given time, and you can change it at any given time, which gives you a really good flexibility and it makes you a lot more agile in your data center.
Awesome. Well, the anecdote that I'd like to leave everybody with, we as a company have always gotten lumped into the all flash array market, right? In almost every case in that all flash array market, the vendors there are taking the same old array and are just adding flash to it. What they're selling is the performance of the flash and the I/O of the flash. SolidFire really made the flash be much less interesting and tried to change the array and the array architecture and the things that we can do from a feature standpoint with the array. So yes, it's an array that utilizes nothing as flash but media, and yes, the flash media is fast. But I think SolidFire's put together a product that certainly shows that the flash is more than just fast, and that the outcome for customers are certainly beneficial. So thank you both, Daud, Shayne, for the time, and I hope you guys have a good rest of the conference.
Thank you. Thank you.